I'm Michelle.
And I'm Joy.
I live in the US,
And I live in England
and we were across the world.
on a mission.
All right, hello everyone. I would just like to welcome you back to Across the World. We've been talking about traveling across the world to share the love of God with others. And today I have joining me another student, well, another missionary. At the time, were you a student missionary, Betsy?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so
Mhm.
she was another student missionary, and she will be joining us today to share part of her story. Betsy and I were at the in Taiwan around at the same time. So, welcome, Betsy. Please just share a little bit about who you are, where you live, and what got you to going to Taiwan.
Okay, all right. Hi, everyone. I'm Betsy Fraser. I live in Durban, South Africa, but I was born in South Africa's mother city, which is Cape Town. Mom, dad, six siblings. And then, of course, we moved to Johannesburg. And when I got married, I moved to Durban. So I've stayed in three provinces in South Africa. And I went to Taiwan in 1998. I had actually been thinking a lot about going to Asia. My mother is from the island of St. Helena, and my father is Chinese. So his parents are from China, and his dad and his mom arrived in South Africa. Gosh, this was many years ago. I think that was during the gold rush, and then there was communism in China. They came for a better future. They arrived in South Africa. My father was born in South Africa, went to a Chinese school in South Africa, and I spoke to him quite a lot, and he had only been back to China once. So I said to him, I'd really like to go and meet the family on that side. And then I heard from my church about the student missionary program, which was in the Republic of China, and I applied. And I was really, really shocked at how quickly things happened because at that time I was a property manager working in Johannesburg for Marriott Properties. And I received a call, I think 2 weeks after my application. It was Marlene Dakota on the phone. And they said they'd received my application, they're interested, can I come in 2 weeks? And I think
Wow.
that was the shock, the suddenness to them saying they wanted me to come in 2 weeks. But it was so amazing because before I joined Marriott, I was working for a company called Sanna, and I had just resigned. And so I'd only been at Marriott for about 2 months. And it meant that I was still in the probationary 3-month period. So I only needed to give them 48 hours notice to resign. And I spoke to my family, and the stars just aligned. So the timing was right. I could go. The only debt I had was a car that I had purchased, and so I needed to pay that. But my brother kindly offered to pay the premiums for my car
Wow.
while I was away. So he paid that for a whole year, and I was free to go. So within 2 weeks, I managed to get things done. Luckily, I had my passport. So I urgently applied for the visa, and I was on a plane 2 weeks later.
That's
And I was,
crazy because I feel as though around that the time that you came, because you came within the same year that I was there, but you
Mhm.
didn't come with the the batch of us, because we all come in at a certain time. So you came a little bit later, but I think what it is that they needed teachers, so that's part of why you were called in within two
Mhm.
weeks.
That's
Yeah.
that's right. I arrived in October of 1998 with
Mm.
two other South Africans. We only realized we were all together when we were picked up by a lady called Golden who came in a taxi to collect us, a
Right.
Kumbi taxi. So the three of us arrived at the same time, and they sent all three of us to Hong Kong also to go get our visas done. But
Yeah.
I
So you,
think
you guys didn't have an orientation.
no, we didn't. We
Yes.
missed out on all of that. We saw all the photos of the orientation, but we missed out on that. We did get an opportunity to meet with all the students, all the teachers, because there was a camp that they did, and we went there. But just to answer your other question of why did I go, I had heard about this, and like I said, I wanted to do two things. I wanted to get in touch with my Chinese ancestry, and I also wanted to take a year off from my life to serve the Lord through missionary work. So I had said the year that I'm going to Taiwan, I'm going to take that time to study the Bible, to teach the Bible, to learn about Chinese culture, and to make a difference in the lives of the students and the people that I meet in Taiwan. So really, that was the reason I wanted to go.
So Betsy, that must have been a brave move because I can't imagine. I know, like, I remember you telling me that your dad was of Chinese ancestry and that you were too. And I remember thinking, wow, at least you have that connection there. But were you a little nervous about, traveling that far away from home and, the language, not knowing the language? Did you have any of those feelings?
No,
Wow.
I was just very excited. I had traveled a lot. I was with a group of friends. We were Christians of our church called CIA, Christians in Action. And I was the social coordinator. So once a month or once a quarter, we would go somewhere. I had also traveled by myself to all the provinces in South Africa, and I had also gone to Egypt by myself with a friend. And just before I came out to Taiwan in June of 1998, that year, the Soccer World Cup was in France. So I traveled with three friends, and we toured France for 6 weeks. So we arrived in London, and then we made our way to Europe. In the end, there were only three of us left, myself and two other girlfriends, and we backpacked through Europe for 5 weeks, and had the time of our lives. So I was just thrilled. My father loves traveling, and I think I've inherited that travel bug from him. So I was excited to go. I felt assured that I was going within a church structure. So I wasn't like just going to a public school. I was going to the Adventist organization in Taiwan. And so that made me feel safe about going. And then I trusted God had his hand in this particular moment of my life, and I just trusted him. In fact, during that time, I must tell you what guided me was the verse in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6 that said, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. So I kind of like took a leap of faith and said, God, I'm willing.
She's going.
You, you direct my path there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, so okay, so you are trusting God. You're heading to Taiwan. When you got there, what were your first impressions of Taiwan?
Uh, I arrived at Kaohsiung Airport. Golden picked us up, and she weaved away through the traffic. And I remember I was like, oh, we have motor cars
Like,
here. They have scooters galore and bicycles. And I remember, oh my gosh, how is she driving so fast in this traffic and not hitting anybody? So she also did this thing where she did her first pit stop, and it was to buy chow tofu, the stinky tofu. And she insisted we must all eat it. And then, of course, the other two tried it. And I smelled it and I said, there's no way I'm eating that. And Golden was like insisting, no, you're coming to Taiwan. You must try this. And at that time, I couldn't get past the smell. And I said, I'm not having this. But yeah, no, that was my first experience, the traffic, the humidity of Taiwan. And then, of course, we arrived at the main school in Penang, and we met all the other teachers. And I think Pingdong is the biggest school in Taiwan. So there was a whole lot of teachers there. There was a whole lot of people from all over the world. And I met them on the first day, and I think in the evening we all got together. So then I felt good that there were so many foreigners, and then there were also so many students. But I also said to myself, you must hang out more with the Chinese people than the foreigners, Betsy. You've come to absorb yourself in Chinese culture. So hang out with the local people.
Got it, got it. No, I think you guys, I cannot believe Golden did that to you guys, giving you guys cho tofu. Guys, we did talk about cho tofu, and cho tofu is, well, another name would be stinky tofu. It's the fermented tofu. And so it has a smell to it. So that's what happened to Betsy when she got the first
Mhm.
day.
Taiwan. Taiwan.
First day, she got, hey, you gotta eat cho tofu if you're gonna be in Taiwan. You gotta try it out. Golden did that. Golden was very funny, actually, very
Mhm.
funny and very energetic. And she was the secretary at the school at the time. So yeah,
Mhm.
she gave them the cho tofu.
You know, I must tell you just a quick one. I was a carnivore before I arrived in Taiwan. And when I got to Taiwan, and this is the food, you know, people were telling me about the food, things you're going to eat, and Chinese people eat this, and Chinese people eat that.
Oh,
And we bought from the street vendors food a lot, right? And they said, oh, the millies, the corn, has got pig oil on it. And students were inviting us to eat at their homes, and I didn't want to offend anybody. So I just told everybody I'm vegetarian. And I just stayed vegetarian for the entire year that I was. And after I came back from Taiwan, I just continued to this day. I'm still vegetarian.
really? Oh
Yes,
wow.
yes,
Wow. Taiwan did that.
yes.
Wow, wow, wow. So it's interesting because I did the same thing in the sense that I became vegetarian once I landed in Taiwan because I was just not messing with the meat. Um, but when I came back, I did eat meat, and then I think what it was for me is that before I went to Taiwan, I was beginning to not like meat. So when I got there, it was like, okay, that's it. When I came back, I did still have meat, but then I decided I was going to do the vegan thing because, the back and forth, you might
Mhm,
as well just stay on one track. But yeah, that's
mhm.
interesting. That's awesome. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're talking about vegan. I've also then decided to become vegan. I think when you're on a journey of vegetarianism and you study health, vegan is the next
Yeah,
option after that.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, wow. I didn't even know that. Wow, that's amazing. So,
Okay.
so how long did you end up staying in Taiwan?
So I arrived in October 98 and I left in November 99. You will remember November 99, we were going to the year 2000. It was Y2K. People were saying the world's going to come to an end, all those things. So I was there for 1 year, October 98 to November 99. And I arrived back home to Y2K in South Africa, November 1999, and celebrated the year 2000 in South Africa.
Got it. Okay, so tell me a little bit more now. Now you're here, you're in Taiwan. What were your interactions like with the students? Tell me a little bit more for your
Okay.
experience.
So when I arrived, the first 2 weeks I was in Pingdong, I spoke to everybody. I think I was so excited for the worship there. I was Pingdong because it was big school. It had about 12 teachers. It was very socially active. We were always being invited every evening to go to the tea shop, right? For tea and snacks. And there was always on the weekends when I was there was weddings, there was events, there were functions. We were being invited to that. I remember the Friday evening when we would open Vespers and we would go up to the main hall above the church. And then you were there with a whole lot of people. You sang out in worship. We sang really nice songs and choruses. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. But then I think I was only there for 1 month. And at the end of 4 weeks, Marlene moved me from Penang to Fengshan. And I was there with Teacher Villa, and we were then only two teachers, and the school was very quiet. I think exposed to Pingdong and all the teachers and the morning worship, we would meet as a collective and have worship. And there was just a lot of activity. I was going out with students and I was teaching my classes, and I was getting a lot of guidance from the older teachers in Pingdong. So that was really awesome. I think James Samuels was there. He was from South Africa. There were quite a few South Africans, and we could even speak Afrikaans to each other, our local language.
Y'all
And
even taught me some Afrikaans.
really, that's great.
A
So
little bit.
I enjoyed the social interaction. We met students there who took us around. I think every weekend we were out. On Sundays, they were taking us to places. And then after 4 weeks, I got to Fongsan, and it's such a small school. It's two people. Friday nights, when we are trying to have Vespers, only a few students arrived because it's a small school. It didn't have, you know. And I will tell you, Michelle, I struggled with that. I even asked Marlene, why did you send me? Why didn't you send the other two, or Hussein or Charlene? And then she said, Charlene's quiet and I'm very talkative. That's why she sent me away. She felt with my personality, I would manage at the smaller school. And I think after 1 week, I was reminded of the scripture that brought me there, that said, do not lean on your own understanding. Acknowledge me, I will direct your path. And I realized that my original reason for going was to have relationships with the students, to teach them, and to grow in God's word. And really, when I was in Pingdong, I was so socially active that I hardly took time to do that, to do my own studies and devotion and that, because I was so caught up in everything that was happening there. So when I went to Fongsan, it was quiet. And then I made some really good friends there, Clive and Jim. There were two students that came to my Bible class. I then decided to have a Bible class in the morning and one in the evening. So I loved both Bible classes. The morning Bible class, remember we gave free Bible class, so anybody could come for that for free. And in the morning, my Bible class was attended by a group of housewives. And there was a lady by the name of Angela. She became like my Chinese mother. She really took care of me when I was there. Um, and in the evenings, it would be students who work during the day and they come in the evenings. And I really enjoyed doing Bible study then to those students who came. And they were regulars. It was a regular group that came. And I then settled into really, I think, when I got to Fongsan, to bonding with the students and, developing relationships with them, and then going about teaching them what I knew about the Bible, and then teaching conversational English to the students.
I'm Michelle.
And I'm Joy.
I live in the US.
And I live in England
And we were across the world
on a mission.